Hey everyone, welcome to yet another session of the DevOps Bootcamp. So in this session, we discuss about various different tools and frameworks that mostly engineers, DevOps engineers, or people working around DevOps domain, maybe SREs or the infrastructure engineers, everyone uses in their day-to-day life, and we'll try to understand the benefits and use cases of each of these tools. And this is the final session on tools and framework. So I will be sharing around 10 to 15 different tools which are very helpful, which makes the work of a developer pretty easy. So yeah, without any further ado, let's begin. I'll share my screen. Just a minute. So I hope my screen is visible to all of you. So the first tool that we discuss in this session is Sketch. Again, just summarizing the entire track that we have covered so far. So in DevOps Bootcamp, we've already covered the basics, requirements, the prerequisites before jumping into DevOps, it's networking and databases and everything in our previous sessions. And then we also covered Docker, covered Kubernetes, we covered few of the different tools that we use in Kubernetes, and we've not really explored cloud services yet. And I think that's something that we'll be covering in the upcoming track of building cloud native applications from scratch. So we'll not be covering that in DevOps Bootcamp, but in the cloud native application track. But yeah, today we cover different other tools and frameworks which helps us as a DevOps developer or an engineer to sort of automate a lot of many works, and sort of reduces the manual labor that we put in. So the first tool that we discuss is Sketch, and if I just move to the platform, so catch trust by design, build trust with consumers, and grow with data, right? So it's an amazing tool, first of all, right? So what it does is it provides simplified private operations and dynamic control and intelligence over your Kubernetes clusters and everything, right? So it provides a handmade dashboard for you, which makes the work of like pretty easy for a DevOps guy. It's a culture tool again, right? Because it's not does not really includes infrastructure settings and technical orientation, but more of into the culture tool where you can sort of implement DevOps practices in your organization. Cool. The second tool that we cover is Azure Container Instances, right? So let me just jump into that. Just a minute. Mm-mm. Cool. So yeah, the next tool that we cover is Chef. So let me just directly jump into the website of Chef. This is Chef DevOps, maybe. Yeah, okay. Cool. So Chef software develops automation solutions, right? Now this is the most traditional, or you can say the first in the market software that came up for as an automation tool, which was allowing us to automate our DevOps practices. And it's a configuration management tool, just like we discussed, right? In Kubernetes, there are config maps and so many other things that we have to manage and sort of attach to our clusters and everything, right? So Chef is a tool that automates that entire process for us and helps in sort of reducing a lot of workload from the DevOps from the developers head workload, right? Now it's based on Ruby and Erlang as a language, right? And so if I just move to the website, right? Let's just jump to the website and understand what it says, right? Cool. So it helps you with your infrastructure management, your compliance, your security policies and everything. You define your cloud security as well. It is applicable as a desktop application as well, right? And it's very allows a lot more integrations in it. Like, so most of the developers teams in today's data engineering team, they work in Slack, right? So it provides a Slack enterprise automation with Slack as well. And because of a SaaS offering, I think it has a wide adoption across the developers community. Many people, many companies prefer to use Chef as their automation tool in today's day because of the, of course, the software offering as well as the benefits that it provides. Again, it is built over open source tools, right? So it is working over infrastructure, inspect, habitat, and automate, which all of them are open source cultures, right? And yep, again, how to download this, right? So you can just go over here into the Chef workstation, right? And you can check out your version for Mac OS. It gives the most stable version to me. It also defines architecture. You can see the SHA value as well for it. And for Windows as well, you can sort of browse through whichever suits your system. You can download it, and it's pretty simple. There is nothing much in terms of the downloading process, right? And all the stable releases are featured on this web page itself. Cool. So let's say you don't know how to work around with Chef, right? So what is the next step that you can do? So there is an entire section on learning Chef as well, which is hosted in learn.chef.io, right? So yep, the website is loading. Let's give it a minute. Yep, perfect. So this is completely free of cost, right? You don't have to pay any price to learn Chef from this particular website, right? And the best part is that it provides in-depth understanding of the entire curriculum, or in-depth understanding of the entire Chef, practices, or the best practices that you can implement in Chef. And the best, another good part is that, if you're learning with a friend or something like that, right? You can sort of play around with badges. So it offers badges as well. So once you complete a particular module, you'll earn badges. So it's an amazing uh, learning tool that I would say. I think not many tools provide this. If I just click on explore courses section right now, you'll see different guided tools, right? So you can begin your Chef journey, Ruby Essentials, manage your fleet with Chef Infra, test and expectations with Chef Inspect, deliver application with Chef Habitat, secure infrastructure with Chef Automate, right? So all the different modules of Chef has been covered here, right? And then there is a Chef Principal Certification exam as well, which you can apply for. So if I just click on view exam, you can directly enroll here under the examination, and if you talk about the curriculum of the examination, right, it covers the modules that you cover in the learning track. So you cover Chef Infra, Chef Inspect, Habitat, and Automate, right? All of it. Also a bit of Chef Compliance, which is not covered in the module, but you can just browse through the documentation for this. Cool. So this is amazing. Another tool that I use for my automation mostly, and I also use another tool which I'll cover in some time. But yeah, this is amazing. You can definitely give it a try. The next tool that we have is Ansible. I think somewhere or the other you have probably heard. Okay, I think the screen was not visible. Let me just share the screen. Okay, this was a Chef Principal Certification Exams page, right? You can click on Enroll in Chef Principals Certification Exam, and you can directly get enrolled. The entire curriculum is available here, just like what I covered just now. Yes, Chef Compliance is there, which is not covered in the learning modules, but again, you can learn through the documentation. Cool. The next tool is Ansible, and I think you have probably heard about Ansible somewhere or the other, somewhere, right? It's one of the most famous automation tool available in the industry in today's date, and it's built by Red Hat, right? And it is completely open source, right? And it includes different features in terms of software provisioning, configuration management, and application deployment, right? And let's just move into this, right, and understand what Ansible does, right? So Ansible provides an automation framework. It's an automation framework built over Red Hat infrastructure, right? And the best part about Ansible that I enjoy is the community of Ansible is very large, right? So you find a lot of resources in order to implement Ansible in your application or in your organization, in your enterprise, whatever it is, right? So in case you're stuck at any particular point, there's a huge bunch of folks in the community who are willing to help you out at any point of time, right? And it is completely open source, and it's been tested multiple times with, like, across multiple organization, and it's in use by different top MNCs in the world, right? So now they have been integrating Ansible with AWS Cloud as well, so you can automate your AWS instances with Ansible as well, which is a great advantage. And it follows an event-driven architecture, right? So like event-driven architecture, what I mean by this is let's say you define a particular workflow or a particular event, right, an action for your instances or for your DevOps pipeline that you have created, or whether it be Kubernetes, Docker, anything that you're working on. It helps you to define automation with respect to those events, right? So You can define hierarchical event driven architectures. You can define multi structural or multi tree level architecture, structures as well. It's completely scalable, which in chef, which is not available, right? So as I mentioned, right, while explaining chef, that I use something, an automation tool, almost every day, and that is Ansible, right? Again, how do you automate, right? So there is hybrid cloud automation, edge automation, network automation, configuration management, provisioning, and security automation, everything just under the same panel, right? And as I mentioned, the community is large, and you can definitely join the community just by clicking on start contributing. It will revert you back to the Slack server of Ansible, and that's it, right? So again, how to get started with Ansible? There is an entire section on learning Ansible, right? So I can just click on learn, and if you see here, just a minute. Yep. So if you see here, there are videos, ebooks, white papers, case studies, reports, right? There are webinars, there are fests, and there are workshops and everything available here. The best part of learning Ansible, I suggest, is Ansible Docs. That documentation is literally amazing. It covers almost everything in terms of the ecosystem and getting started with the platform, right? Definitely give it a try. And if not Docs, you can also refer um, the videos or the ebooks, right? And they Red Hat releases ebooks almost every quarter, like multiple ebooks, right, just to get started. And in the video section, you'll find different tutorials that, if you just see the word deviation as well, it's around 1 hour long sessions, and they clearly define all the, how to use Ansible with different tools. In this case, it's Ansible network automation with Arista Cloud Vision and Arista validated design. So in case you're working around with Arista Cloud Vision tool, then great to get started. And I think there are amazing content in terms of Ansible in YouTube as well, so you can definitely give it a try. Cool. And if I talk about the community right now, Ansible is majorly hosted on GitHub, right? The GitHub community is huge. There is a Galaxy community as well, where you can go and sort of chat around with other folks in the community, and meetups. That's another great way to connect around with Ansible community. They are hosting, Ansible has an official group in meetup.com, and yep. So there are so many, right? There is Cloud and DevOps group. This is hosted in Bangalore, in Pune, Ansible Pune. We have infrastructure coders in Melbourne, Australia, almost every part of the country on the globe, right? So if you see the number of people in each of these groups is huge. The community is large, as I mentioned. So definitely, it helps a lot in order to get started. And if you're stuck in any point of time, you have a lot many people to help you out with. Cool. So that being said about Ansible, let me just dive in a bit about the features as well. So again, what are the features that Ansible provides? It provides automation execution environments, right? Automation in terms of the controllers, automation mesh, Ansible content collection, that's huge. They have content tools as well, and they have a different service collector, and there's an automation hub as well. In terms of training and certification, you can apply for the Red Hat certifications. Again, you can take the free training course, which is pretty basic, and you can just get a very basic idea about Ansible in this case. By just taking this course, you can also read the white paper. It's great. And then you can apply for the Red Hat certification exams. There are so many examinations that are available, right? And but if you have to learn from Red Hat platform, make sure that you have to apply for a subscription. I'll not recommend or anything like that. You can take it if you want to. If you don't take it, that also works fine. There are so many resources already available. You can definitely refer to one of them. Cool. The next tool that we cover is a CI/CD tool. Now, again, when I say CI/CD, there are so many tools available in the market. So, which one to get started with? So, usually people, beginner. If you're a beginner, I'll suggest you, just like I suggest in terms of learning C language as a fundamental language before getting started with programming languages or object-oriented programming languages overall, right? So, similarly, before getting started with any other CI/CD tool, I'll suggest you to get started with Jenkins. Jenkins was first in the industry, and it's pretty difficult in terms of configuration and everything. There are so many concepts covered in Jenkins, and it's not desirable in today's date, I would say, because again, there are so many, like Kubernetes is still working on Jenkins, right? So Jenkins started pretty early, right? And software companies or products, they adapted to Jenkins pretty easily at the first place, right? Because that was at that point of time the first CI/CD tool. And with this concept, right, Jenkins sort of covered a lot many companies and products. And in today's day, there are so many alternatives available, which offers various different benefits over Jenkins, right? The build times or the deployment times of different tools are faster than Jenkins mostly. But Once you create a complex CI/CD infrastructure or a pipeline or a workflow, it's very very difficult to migrate, right? So for instance, for example, right, Kubernetes, right, they still work on Jenkins. Now if you say that, okay, there is Circle CI, there is Harness, there is Azure, why would not Kubernetes migrate to other CI/CD tools? Now understand, Kubernetes is one of the most biggest open source projects in the world right now, and to migrate such a complex workflow from one platform to another is difficult, right? So again, just for the learning purpose, I'll suggest to get started with Jenkins, because they cover a lot of fundamental topics. The best place to learn Jenkins is the documentation. Once again, you can just run through the documentation. They have amazing samples, and also there are starter pipelines and everything that you can get started with, and it's all hard coded, right? That's the best part. You don't find anything which helps you out to automate your work pretty easily in Jenkins. So first of all, I recommend learning hard coded things, and then jumping into other platforms like Circle CI or anything like that, right? Now again, if you have to understand the other platforms as well, so there are so many platforms available. One is Harness again, so you can just go to app.harness.io and sort of sign up there in case you already know CI/CD and you want to get started with it, right? So you can just go and sign up with LinkedIn, GitLab, GitHub, Google, Azure, anything like that. You can also check out other CI/CD tools like GitLab and others. There are so many, right? So you can just see GitLab CI/CD, and yeah, that's it. GitLab CI/CD. The documentation of GitLab CI/CD is also available for Harness as well. You have the documentation at developer.harness.io. Again, depends, right? Wherever you want to learn, you can go and learn. First of all, you need to have your concepts and fundamentals clear, and then you can sort of get started with any CI/CD tool. Cool. The next tool that we cover here is Puppet, right? So let me jump into that. Cool. So Puppet infrastructure and IT automation at scale, right? So again, Puppet is a software configuration management tool. Once again, just like Jenkins, and just like other tools that we have already covered in this session. Now, it does not follow an event-driven architecture, right? In case of Puppet, it follows a model-driven architecture. So what is a model-driven architecture? We'll understand in some time. So let me just jump to the website. Cool. Uh, Let me just jump into the features that it provides, right? So again, you can achieve and maintain desired state automation delivers better infrastructure and faster, increases the operational efficiency using different code deliveries and vulnerability managements. It also ensures a compliant and secure process. It also has a security module, which is amazing and great. Again, the community is pretty large of Puppet. You can definitely join them in Forge, and again, there's an enterprise version for it as well, which are run by organization. Again, it can run on any operating system. That's another added advantage. It allows you to scale pretty easily, right? And many big companies are using it. Porsche, DBS, Daiwa, Blue California, Swisscom, they currently use Puppet as their automation enterprise. And there are two different types of offerings by Puppet. One is open source Puppet, and that's a Puppet enterprise. So for you, you can easily download the open source Puppet today and get started with it. It's an amazing tool to learn, and automation tool, just like Ansible, I'll say. Great to learn Puppet as well. Um, if you have to learn Puppet from scratch, then let me jump back here. Right. So there's a services and training section where you will find training and education. Click on that, and you can easily get started with the courses that are there. There are private courses as well. Now it depends if you want to take a private course or something like that, and then you can apply and get certified as a Puppet practitioner, which definitely has a very high value in industry, and people recognize it a lot, right? Uh, Overall, Puppet certification and even Jenkins certification, all the certification that I'm covering right now, all the tools, they are huge. And if you have one of these tools certified, you're certified by one of these tools, and if the companies has a requirement to hire a particular practitioner of that particular tool, and the companies are particularly working on that particular tool itself, and that infrastructure is based on that tool, there is a 100% guarantee that they are going to take you in. So that's another added advantage. Cool. Sounds great. Cool. So the next thing that we cover here is Firefly. So let me jump to Firefly. Mm, Yep. So what is Firefly? Again, it helps you to manage cloud complexity, right? Using infrastructure as code at scale, right? What it does is let me jump into the about section. Yeah, perfect. So what it does is, it helps you to generate use multiple tools, right, and host a different under different cloud platforms and infrastructure in the same place, which is a great advantage for a kind of company. Because let's say if my organization or my product is currently working on different tools, and all the tools have different hosted over different places, and I have on-prem versions of each of this, right, and they are hosted in maybe Azure, Google Cloud, and others, right. Now I need something to bind all of it, and this serves me that purpose, right. And in terms of learning, if I just move to the resources, the documentation is available, and the best place to learn, once again, as I say always, right, documentation. Firefly has very amazing documentation, which is sponsored by Gitbook, right. And you can easily manage your assets here, right. The best platform, one of the best platform for SREs and DevOps engineers, right. um, you can, if you have to learn in terms of tutorials, you can directly go into this, right, how you can integrate your cloud providers, integrating AWS, and everything is always already there. Now there are different ways of integrating AWS using CloudFormation, Terraform, and even driven architecture, right. And you can integrate Kubernetes as well, pretty easy, right. You can integrating how to integrate GCP directly here, right. So there are so many, right. And in case you have a SaaS provider, let's say you're operating over harness, which is a SaaS, right, and you have to sort of integrate that, right. So you can integrate with as using Datadog, GitHub, Okta, or New Relic, right. Amazing. So this is another tool that I had in my list today to cover. Um, Let me check if we are missing something. Yep. There is another tool which is known as Date. So what is AT? It's a CLI solution. Okay. What it does is it sort of prevents misconfiguration by blocking resources that does not meet your policy. So day three sort of checks your configuration management files and checks for bugs or any different error prone resource use consumption that you're making. And if you're making as one, then it automatically rejects that, right. So that's an amazing tool, and pretty much helpful for DevOps engineers. You can use any of the policies to work upon. There are Argo best practices, security, PSU migration, security detection, availability in checklists, military attacks, CDK 8 standard, and everything, right. In terms of the failing resources, right. So like this is a great data that they're already showcasing, right. So they treats able to monitor the cluster and policy violations for development, the development stage. If it is hosted, they're scaling up to 24%, and for production 14%, which is a great number, to be honest, right. Now you can check your misconfiguration in terms of the missing container image version, the missing liveness probes, container with root access capabilities, and these are just three steps that they've mentioned, but there are so many that they've covered, right. And you can also check the status of your configuration of the clusters in terms of scores, so A, B, C, D. There are so many grades that they provide, and you can easily understand in terms of which grade you lie, and then you can check and decide if you have to move ahead with that or have to make some changes. And it is integratable with everything almost. So Kubernetes, any Kubernetes service, like whether it be GKE or EKS or anything like that, Helm, GitHub, GitLab, Circle CI, Jenkins, everything, right. So yeah, to get started again, you can just click on the docs here. And again, D3 provides amazing docs. These are hosted, these are supported by Locusaurus, and you can also contribute directly by just moving into the GitHub profile and raising a pull request to this, right. In terms of understanding how D3 works, you can check out this documentation, which is really amazing, and it will define the entire architecture for you. That is, how the clients interfaces interact with the D3 application, right. And there are so many CI/CD examples that they're given here, right. They have Git Circle CI, Travis CI, GitLab CI, CD, Jenkins, Tron, Azure examples available here. This is really amazing. So, so yeah, this is an amazing tool that you can so definitely check it out. And yeah, there are so many resources in YouTube as well for day tree, and I'll suggest documentation is the best place. And also there are guides and articles available here. So how to integrate need to review their organization, there is an entire article written over it. Great. Cool. So yeah, I think I have almost covered the best tools that I had on my list today. I'll go back and check out if any of you have any queries. Yep, I think all the all the tools that we have covered in today's session are free, and you can definitely sign them up at any point of time and definitely try, give them a try. I think it's always good to try. Right, it's not necessary as a beginner to try out these tools. To be honest, yeah, few tools like Ansible and Jenkins, you can definitely give them a try because you are not learning DevOps completely if you are not covered the automation tools. But the rest of the days are not compulsory, but definitely you can give it a try. It's always good to learn new tools. So yeah, I'll be up for taking any questions if you have any. Cool. I think we have already covered almost everything in the DevOps Bootcamp, the tools and frameworks as well. So in the next session, we just covered few product demos and everything, and then we jump into the cloud native application track, right? So yeah, thank you so much, guys, for joining in this session. Looking forward to catch you up in the next session in the upcoming days. Definitely join the last track, the last session of DevOps Bootcamp. That's a product demo, and we'll showcase so many products there as well. A few of them I covered today as well, but we'll see the hands-on how to use them in the next session, and then we go jump into the cloud native application development track, right? uh Chat GPT. Okay, I think we can have a session over that, right? Chat GPT, maybe. I think it's amazing tool again. I can just imagine how much OpenAI is investing in terms of money to provide this amount of service to the people that is free of cost, and I think it's going to disrupt a lot of different industries, especially specifically developers. If you ask ChatGPT to write you, YAML file for Kubernetes configuration management, it will easily write that down for you in few seconds, and it will take around weeks for you to learn. So yeah, that is there, right? So I think we can host a session. Great, Austin, for taking that up. We'll definitely do something around that. Cool. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in this session. Let's catch up in the next session. Until then, have a good time. So can we have a solo session? I think I have my links available in my account. You can definitely check that out. You can book some sessions in that case. Let me share that out here as well. Just a minute. Um, Cool. And also, I missed mentioning, right? So all the tutorials that we are covering right now are hosted in Hashnode in my newsletter. I've covered all so many things in articles. If you have missed the sessions and you want to learn more about it, you can directly go and sign up for the newsletter, and you'll get updates about all the different topics that we're covering in terms of written information. You can consider it to be like notes and everything, right? So yeah, you can definitely go and check that out. Will ChatGPT replace coder? I'm not sure, man. Like I don't think that's possible. I think ChatGPT is built by coders itself, right? Cool. Thank you so much for this session, man. And let's catch up in the next session with lot many other tools and hands-on demos and everything. Right.